What's good, you guys? I know normally I do more like live cook-up videos or vlogs, but I made a really crazy like indie TAME IMPALA beat recently, and I just wanted to break down the beat because I feel like there are a lot of interesting techniques that I used in it that you guys could learn from. And a lot of people have been asking me how I make indie stuff, especially like how I make indie stuff sometimes without even using real instruments. Just gonna break down this cool beat that I made, and hopefully you guys learn something from it. All right, I started off with this guitar and bass, which sounds like this. And the way that I did that is I used Trillion, which Spectrasonics makes Trillion. They also make Omnisphere. This project is very laggy, so it takes a second to load things, but I just used the Studio Warm full range bass. And then for the chords, I also used Trillion, but I used this plugin by Neural DSP and Tim Henson called Archetype that is like a vocoder. So I used the Studio Warm bass, but I ran it through all these effects over here. So first I got an EQ taking out low end, then I put a compressor just to make sure that all the notes are the same volume, and then I got Archetype by Tim Henson, which if you go in this tab and you click engage and set it in the key that you're in, then it will create chords out of your bass. So I know there are a lot of harmonizer plugins, but I really like this one just because it gives it this warm sound. Without the plugin and all the effects, it just sounds like this. But with all of it, it's like this. Now after that, I put some Soothe, which is a plugin that just makes your sound less harsh. It goes in and automatically EQs out all those harsh frequencies. And then I used another Neural DSP plugin called Archetype Corey Wong. I just used the 80s pop chorus preset. This is a good alternative for Guitar Rig. I used Guitar Rig for a long time, but I started using this one recently and it makes things sound pretty cool. And then I got a Juno chorus by Arturia, and then Flanger also by Arturia, and then this compressor, put it on this guitar preset that just makes it sound a little more warm. And then another EQ, took out some more low end, and then another Soothe at the end, which I know that's a lot of plugins, but for me, I put on a million plugins and I hope it works out. This time it did work out, made it sound pretty cool. After that, I added some counter melodies. I got this flute from an Al Hug one-shot kit. And then I got these chimes that are also from one of his one-shot kits that it just repeats throughout the whole beat. And then I also got some more chimes over here, and also affected harp one shot that sounds kind of like a guitar. So I'll play all the counter melodies at once. I know a lot of people say that you can't get one-shots to sound like real instruments, but if you just put effects on them, it can work pretty well. Like on these, on one of them, I just put some chorus and flanger and delay. On the other ones, I did a similar thing, just on the harp, I did one of those guitar amp presets to make it sound like a guitar. Yeah, one-shots can be good, if you just put the right effects on them, then they won't sound tacky or anything. But then the next thing I did is I made a switch up where the bass notes go down, because this first part is fire, but I wanted it to be a longer progression. So I had the bass notes go down, and then I also added some strings. I remember it was the Stradivari violin from Contact, and I just layered two of those on top of each other. So I'll play that transition. With the violin, I don't have the VST open anymore because I had to bounce them out because my CPU was being bad, but that violin can sound really cool if you just layer a bunch of them on top of each other. There are a lot of good contact banks, but the Stradivari violin and the Rickenbacker bass are probably my two favorites, that and then Playbox. But yeah, once I had that, I was like, I'm gonna do some drums. So this is another contact bank that's really cool. It's made by Teletone Audio. It's called Tempo, and it has a bunch of drums in it. So I just loaded up this kit called Lil Ringy, and then I clicked in this pattern. And then additionally, I just had another kick down here. because the kick from that kit wasn't punchy enough. And then I also remember I put this distortion plugin called Cold Fire made by Arturia on the drums, and then I just automated it. So you can see these two automation clips right here. They're just little parts where a little bit of distortion comes in. So if you listen over here, you can hear it coming in. And it doesn't even sound like distortion. It just sounds like it's like panning around and doing a bunch of cool effects. That's been one of my favorite plugins lately, Cold Fire. You guys should definitely, you know, find a way to get your hands on it. But we got all of that. I'll just play this first section now in its entirety. And then we got more sections over there to go over. Once I had that section, I wanted there to be a section where it had a little more space. And there's a really cool trick that you can do if you're making a beat or even a loop. There is this plugin that Dynox showed me that's a stock plugin called Vocodex. So if you have FL, you have Vocodex. It's a vocoder that makes it really easy to give a melody the rhythm of whatever drums you have. So I bounced out the drums from the first part, and then I bounced out the melody. So it's the melody right here, and then the drums. And then what I did is I routed both of them to a new track that just had Vocodex on it. So let's say I didn't have that already routed. These two tracks, these are the melody and the drums. Let's say they're routed to the master. Right now it sounds like this. But now what we would do is we would select them by holding Control Shift and clicking on both of them. And then you go down here. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little arrow, and you just right click on it and click route to this track only. So we're routing it to insert 29, which is the track that Vocodex is on. Now once you do that, Vocodex might seem a little confusing, but what I do is I just turn this knob all the way up and I mess with the other knobs. I turn the release and the attack all the way down. I turn the wet all the way up here. But you can really just mess with the settings yourself. What you really need to know how to do is change these two. Basically, this is deciding which signal is vocoding the other signal. So if we set it to 2, 1, that's going to mean that one of them is vocoding the other. But if we swap it and it's 1, 2, it's going to do the opposite. So 2, 1. See, that's the melody with the rhythm of the drums. But if we swap it, it's going to be the drums but with the rhythm of the melody. You know, that's just a little life hack. You know, you can pull up Vocodex. Shout out Dynox. Dynox showed me how to do this. But yeah, I set it so that the melody right here has the rhythm of the drums. And then I just put the drums back in, but I edited the pattern a little bit. So, you know, it just has a little more space for an artist. But that's how this part sounds transitioning out of the hook. I feel like up to this point in the video, I've just been kind of talking about what I did in this beat, but my tips for you guys with making beats like this, if you're trying to do live drums or make live sounding stuff, is just listen to music in the genre that you're trying to make and write down notes on different techniques they do. You know, like for instance, if you're trying to make soul sounding samples, you'll notice that the drums will have an interesting rhythm and then the chords will be hitting not exactly on beat, but they might, you know, be shifted, but they might have, you know, like crashes whenever the chords come in, you know? Just listen to whatever music you're trying to make, take notes, try to analyze it or remake songs that you like, and from there you'll just get better at it. Also with the drums, you just want to try to make something that you can really imagine someone playing. Like, a real drummer isn't going to play everything at the exact same velocity. They're gonna have little parts where it's off time a little bit, or they played something softer than one of the other notes. So try messing with the velocity and timing, and over time you'll just get a better sense of like swing and how to make drum patterns that sound realistic. realistic. Even for me, I feel like these drums aren't super realistic. They're just, you know, they're passable. They're better than what I used to be able to do. All right, after that, it goes back to just some guitar and bass. It's basically the intro, but without the drums and some of the counters. And it drops back in. You guys have already heard this part, but then at the end, I made a really cool switch up where I voice memoed some of my vocals and I used more cool vocoder stuff. So I'm gonna show you guys that. We just got the guitar going, and then we have a little transition right here. Let's figure out what's going on here. So first we just got the end of the drum pattern. You know, the guitar comes out and we just have the drums come in as a little transition. And then I used this bass that my boy Dez sent me. So we just got the bass going. But then I took the drums and I don't even remember what I did. Let's figure out what I did, okay? Because I know there's some vocoder stuff going on, but I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. So, oh man, I don't even know how we got here. Wait.
Later that same evening.
All right, I got to the bottom of it. Basically, I bounced out the bass and then I vocoded it and then I just pitched it up. So it sounds like there's harmonies going on, like a melody. But really it's just the bass pitched up, and I did the same vocoding method where it has the rhythm of the drums. You can see it lines up with the drums. All right, now let's talk about the vocal. I recorded using my phone and then I just EQ'd some low end out and put some distortion and OTT and Valhalla delay, and I EQ'd out some more high end. This distortion preset is really making it sound like that. And I put auto-tune on it. I remember I put auto-tune on it and I layered it with like up the octave. So it's like half normal pitch and half a higher pitch. That turned out pretty sick. I like how it sounds because without those effects, it sounds like this. And you know, that's not bad, but I feel like it's way better with the distortion on it. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, that is how I made an interesting indie beat. I may not have explained it in the best way, but I hope that you got some, you know, techniques out of this. Like I said, with the vocoder, you just have 2 tracks and then you route them to this track only, to wherever your vocoder is on. Then you put your vocoder on there and then you just mess with the settings and either do 1-2 or 2-1 to decide which one is vocoding the other one. Also, cool combo, try putting OTT and then soothe on something. They kind of cancel each other out, but it still makes something sound loud and cool. But yeah, if you guys want me to, you know, make more stuff like this, I'm super down. It's really fun. I'm also making an album with stuff that's like this, so keep an eye out for that. Yeah, bye guys.